So the Cadison Royal Oak homage, the Cadis Oak as it's nicknamed because it just rolls off the tongue. But this watch I got for just over £60, and in the sale recently it dropped below that. It was in the 50s, which is annoying because I could have saved a few more pounds, but come on, it's a dirt cheap watch. It's got NH35 movement, which is great. Sapphire, all stainless steel construction, butterfly clasp. It looks like a beast. But is it good? Is it worth your money? That's what I'm going to cover in this video. And I'll cover a little bit of information about the Royal Oak, which it is obviously inspired by, and see what you think. And I'm going to cover in this video, I'll start with, this is the intro, and then we're going to move on to the specification of the watch, my likes and my dislikes, and then conclusion. So that's what to expect from this video today. I'll see you shortly. So welcome to an entirely unscripted review of this Cadison Royal Oak homage. Now, I covered in the intro, I got this for just over £60 from AliExpress, which is a fantastic price for a watch that looks this substantial. It's an all stainless steel construction. Even though it's got very sharp edge and design, it doesn't have any noticeably unpleasant sharp edges. So that's a good positive. But before I go into details about the specification of this watch, I'm going to give you a bit of back history in my beautiful notebook here. I'm just going to open this up. I'm just going to discuss with you some interesting facts I found out about the Audemars Piguet watch that this is paying homage to. And now the real deal watch that this is effectively copying, they cost £20,000 upwards. They are extremely desirable watch, extremely popular with the wealthy luxury watch collectors. So those of us who are in the sort of general day-to-day real world, who can't afford those kind of watches, can we get that look? Yes, here it is. But is it a faithful homage? And that's what I'm a bit concerned about, because I'm going to start with, let's start with the bezel design. See that design there? That was actually inspired for the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, is inspired by a diver's helmet, which is really cool. And then it was the Royal Oak aspect. It's actually named after a tree in England, good old England. King Charles II, apparently, when he fled from the Battle of Worcester in 1651, he hid by this tree. And that tree was then deemed a royal oak because a member of royalty obviously hid by the oak tree. That's really cool. Then this design that they have replicated here with the Cadison, like a waffle design, it's deemed more of a God, I can't read my own writing. Tapisserie, there you go, tapisserie dial. And they actually still make that with a over 100-year-old Rose engine pantograph machine, pantograph type machine. And I just think that's really cool. I mean, these are the things that add all this historical magic to a watch brand. But Cadison have just basically ripped the design off massively, and I want to know, have they done it good enough for you to spend your 60 quid? So the first thing we need to do, as I said, was cover the specifications. So I'll start with the dimensions just to help you out. This is a big boy. The case size is just under 45. And if you include the crown, 48. So it's a big boy. And then the lug to lug is really weird because these end links here, they're articulated, so they flex a bit, as you can see, but the actual lug width on the inside, yeah, it's about 18. And the weird thing is, this has got a quick release on the bracelet for you to do a strap change, but you can't really swap the strap out because it's such a weird design. You'd have a really narrow strap if you did. And this part of the watch here, as you can see, it's like 24 mil, 24 and a half. 25, it's an inch wide. So if you put an 18mm strap on there, look, it would look wrong. So that's the weird thing they've done there. So the lug to lug, I can't really measure, but when I put it on my wrist in a minute, you'll see the problem we've got with this weird articulation here. And so I've covered the case size. Let's cover the thickness. Bear in mind, an Audemars Piguet is about 8mm to 9mm, the newer ones. This is nearly 12. So it's a chunky watch, and considering it's only got an NH35 movement in there, it could have been slimmer, and they could have made it smaller. They could have made it a 41mm case size, which had been replicating the actual royal oak itself. So I don't know why they made it so big, but I've heard from another YouTuber that they're actually going to be making this in a smaller size, 41mm case. Then we're talking. I think that would be a hot seller, because this size is just a bit weird. So let's get it on my wrist to show you what I'm talking about. Just so you know what I'm wearing right now. Venerable G-Shock. I have a 7-inch wrist. I've taken a few links out and it's really comfortable. As you can see, it fits me really well, but I'm on the absolute maximum really. Anything smaller than my wrist, I think this watch would look like it was grossly out of proportion to your wrist size. So that's something to consider. I don't know if it's going to work too well. And then regarding the sizing as well, before I took any of the links out, I said to my dad, who was around, I said, check this watch out, Dad. He doesn't normally wear watches, but he said, oh, that looks quite nice. Bit of me, that is. So I got him to try it on. I measured his wrist as well, because I've got tape measure, and his wrist is bang on 8 inches. So he's a big guy. And this fit him with all the links in just about perfectly. It wasn't too loose, it wasn't too tight, it was spot on. But if he had much bigger wrists than 8 inches, it would have been tight. There's no adjustment on this bracelet, on the butterfly clasp. There's no micro links, anything like that. You literally, there's not even half links, because those ones here are part of the final clipping mechanism. So you can't take them out. So they're all the same size links that you take out. As you can see, they've only got 3 more left. So it's one of those watches, you've got to have a 7-inch to 8-inch wrist for this to fit you really well. Anything less than 7 inches, don't bother. Anything more than 8 inches, don't bother. And you might as well not bother watching the rest of this unless you're just interested and you like the sound of my silly voice. But I'll carry on. So the specification, I've covered the movement. I did briefly mention that earlier. You can see it through here in the exhibition case back, which is cool. And they claim it's got 100 meters water resistance, which, to see, it's 10 ATM. I wouldn't really trust that, because there's no screw-in crown or anything here. It's just push-pull. It's a bit fiddly to pull out, to be honest. As you see, I struggled a bit. It's hard to get a decent purchase on it. But it's the usual NH35 affair. When you pull the crown out, everything works as it should. The hand winding's really smooth. It's just a bit fiddly, you know, this thing. To get to the date adjust, so you turn it that way. And then that final pull for there. I think it would have looked better with a bigger crown. If they're going to go for a big watch, put a big chunky crown on it. Go the whole hog. And then we've got sapphire grass. That'd be new, wouldn't it? No, it's glass, and that's synthetic sapphire. Nearly every watch you can buy is made with synthetic sapphire. I'm going to do a video actually about the making of synthetic sapphire. It's fascinating, actually. It's really an interesting process, but they use it for so many things. Screen protectors on phones, you name it, and your Apple iWatch and all that stuff. They've got those sticky tempered glass and all this other stuff you can get. It's made with synthetic sapphire, a lot of it. So that's the glass on there. It's all stainless steel. This bezel has got a nice mixture of polishing and brushing. You see, the brushing is all longitudinal, all going the same way, look. Even though, like I said earlier, this looks like it could be just made of razor blades. It's not. It's actually been honed okay. Even though it's got a really edgy design, it has been well enough honed. Butterfly clasp, not everyone's cup of tea, and I know why, because you've got 0 micro adjust. It either fits you, this watch, or it doesn't. And if you don't like the bracelet, you've got a real problem changing it out. They do sell this on a leather, but I don't know if that's going to be any good. I couldn't afford to buy both at the same time. I didn't really want to either. But I like this all brushed finish, you know, apart from the few details of polishing like there and then on the bezel. It really looks smart, to be honest. And all the fit and finish aspects are really good. Everything lines up really well. The screws are, if you look at the part of the screw which has got, imagine a tiny little flathead going in there, they all sort of rotate, if you will, in their position within the bezel, a tiny increment clockwise, so they work with their positioning in the bezel. I hope that makes sense. As you can see, they're following the flow of the design fairly well. I mean, that what I'm getting at is, you see that line there where a screw could go, it could easily just be facing that way. So that they've got those little details right, and the fact it has a signed crown as well is good. And then you've got brushing going this way on the side. Even the sides of the bracelet are brushed. So let's see how much this beastie weighs. Got my ever so accurate and reliable Gipas. Everyone knows about the Gipas weighing scales. It's a monster. Even with a lot of the, well, the links taken out for my average wrist, it's nearly 190. But it's because it's so chunky, it doesn't feel top heavy. I'll get it back on the wrist. It doesn't flop about like a top heavy watch would. That feels okay. It's not, it feels really comfortable. And look how the light catches it. It does look really good. The sound of these lights, it looks awesome. But again, I'm just a bit concerned for anyone with a wrist smaller than mine or bigger than 8 inches. If you fit in this sweet spot, if you will, between 7 and 8 inches, I think you're likely to be happy with this, you know. So before I go off track too much and I move on to my likes and dislikes, I'm going to quickly do a recap. So we've covered the size of the watch. It's got a Seiko NH35 movement, which hacks and hand winds. It's 100 meters water resistant, has synthetic sapphire glass. And now I'm just going to quickly show you the lume. So here we are under some moody candlelight. Cool, I like this effect. It's got the candlelight behind me, but you still get a good idea of the lume. It's actually all right. I don't think it's going to hold out very well, but once it's charged, it looks crisp, well applied, and it's on everything, the hands and the indices. Not bad, Cadison. And I've discussed the weight. It's a heavy watch, nearly 190, even with some of the links taken out. It's going to be not far off 200 with all the links in. So an 8-inch wrist, but someone with an 8-inch wrist can easily swing a 200-gram watch around, no problems. The construction, all stainless steel, I've covered all that. So now we're going to move on to my likes and my dislikes. So let's start with my likes. I do like the design. I do think it looks attractive. I do like the fit and finish. I do like the fact it has the venerable NH35 movement. The proportions actually look okay. It's very comfortable to wear, even though it's heavy. And I like the fact that it has tapering on the bracelet. They've gone to have Cadison on there, etched on there, the Cadison on the crown. And Cadison isn't too bad a name for a brand name. We've all heard worse. Pagani especially now, as they've had to change the spelling to it sounds like it's been spelt entirely wrong. Cadison sounds okay, it rolls off the tongue. My dislikes are actually more in concern for other people rather than personal. I actually like this watch a lot. It's a chunky, impressive looking watch, which makes a statement. If you want a day when you're going to wear a big chunky watch, this watch is for you. But if, like I said before, you don't have the right wrist size to fit this kind of watch, it's not going to work for you. Just don't buy it. But I've discussed all the optimum sizes for your wrist to make this a comfortable watch for you. And if you're out of that bracket, it doesn't matter if you like or dislike this watch, it won't fit you, which is a real shame. And I think, going back to my dislikes again, I think it could do with being smaller. If they made this a 41 and had a bit more scope for how many people it would fit, this would be fantastic buy. I'll be really raving about it. But I've discussed my concerns. So moving on to my final conclusion, and that is, I really like this watch. For the money, it is outstanding value for money. It's got some really attractive design details, which is obviously only because it's copying an incredibly famous watch. And the downsides to that are people are going to think you're just trying too hard. If anyone who's into watches knows, why are you trying to wear a watch that looks like this, looks like that? But we all know it's a big market. It's a big cult following with these kind of watches. If you're watching this, you've likely seen all the bazillion other Submariner homages and all the Seiko homages. I love them because I haven't got vast sums of money. I especially haven't got 20 grand plus to blow on a watch. But that'll be another video one day, definitely. So, conclusion is, if it fits you okay, from what I've discussed, buy it. Happy days. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoy my new ambience, which I've set up. I love it. It's been a real pleasure. I look forward to sharing some more videos with you in the near future. So in the meantime, bye for now.